we are looking at the top 16, where we do see a Misfortune mirror match on both players on Obelisk of Power. This is going to be a really, really fun event. It's kind of sad that we are getting these so early and into each other. We really enjoyed watching everybody on Misfortune today. We really enjoyed watching how MF plays into the field. We saw like a lot of strengths and weaknesses both into playing into Annie and Kaisa, which was really, really fun. Today's event will be untimed, so these players do not have to worry about being rushed down or like focusing too much on making their plays in the correct amount of time. So these players are going to have a lot of time to really think through a lot of their plays. I know mirror matches are normally really, really grindy, super skill intensive, because of course, both of these players know every card that are in each other's deck. So they know exactly what to play around and what situations they would like to avoid. I'm not sure if we've seen Jonathan yet this weekend, but we have watched Dizzee on stream, I think a couple of times. I think he was on a different deck yesterday, but props to him for making day 2 in this $10,000 Saturday event. It appears that this is open deck list, so not only do these players already have a good idea of what the other player is going to be playing, but they also have the actual deck list in front of them so that they can look at everything that they need and know exactly what they have to prepare for and get ready to play against. All right, cool. So we are still just getting set up here. And once again, as a reminder, if you guys are a fan of this playmat, just a real breakdown. There are multiple games. I believe there are 5 games that are being played at the Pro Play Summit today. Lorcana, One Piece, Riftbound, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Cookie Run. And as you can see on this playmat, on each one of the sides is represented 4 of those 5 games. Lorcana is on the top there. One Piece is on the left. The Gold Sarcophagus from Yu-Gi-Oh! Is on the right, and Riftbound is on the bottom. So if you're enjoying playing in this event or just watching the stream and you want a really, really nice high quality playmat to commemorate the event, this is definitely the playmat for you. The link will be shared throughout the day on the stream. It's all over the Pro Play Games social media. Should be very easy for you guys to access until it sells out. No, today is not just the top cut. We're doing the top 16 of the 10K, and then as soon as that comes to a conclusion, we will hop right into the 5K in prize support for the final day here at the Pro Play Summit. All right, so it looks like Dizzee is starting us off. As we said, both player is on Obelisk of Power, so Dizzee is turn 1, 4 runes. So maybe we can see a Catalyst, but it actually looks like Dizzee does not have anything to play despite double Obelisk of Power, passing it back to Jonathan, who gets to start with 5 runes, who is also passing it back. Interesting. At least, if you basically have to take a turn off, knowing your opponent does it too isn't the worst thing in the world. But Dizzee does have a play this turn. Going to the stack deck, we see, I believe, a Sabotage, maybe a Primal Strength, and of course the Dazzling Aurora. I think you're probably going to want to grab the Dazzling Aurora. And Dizzee might be the fact that he might be able to hit curve a little bit quicker, I believe, because it is what, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Oh no, so I think he's 1 off. But the big issue in this matchup, right, is that both of these players are going to be running Sabotage. Both of these players are going to be running Mind Splitter. So obviously they know you do not want your opponent to establish your Dazzling Auroras. So if they can, they need to Mind Splitter and Sabotage as early as possible. We did see Andrew yesterday in the final match of Swiss was actually had a very good play strategy to play around it. At first, we were a little confused on what was happening, but it was he would basically Mountain Drake first, and then leave some extra runes up so that he could have defensive plays. That way, his opponent couldn't drop Gear Hate before he had the chance to establish it, and before he had something like Mind Splitter and Sabotage in hand. Very, very good play. Something that I personally did not see until towards the end when we were talking with chat. So I definitely think in this matchup today, the most important cards that we're going to see are going to be the Mind Splitters, are going to be the Sabotagers, to see if these guys can get rid of each other's Dazzling Auroras before they even get a chance to come online. So we do see Jonathan with a Catalyst of Aeons. I think that is going to put him ahead on the rune curve. If he has Dazzling in hand, he should be able to establish it before Dizzee does. I don't think we see Dazzling in Jonathan's hand. I know we see a challenge. I think that's a rebuke, if I'm not mistaken. But he does pass it back to Dizzle, who has already established the Misfortune, who's going to move into Obelisk of Power, scoring Dizzee his first point of this game. And then we are seeing some more runes come down. It looks like it is going to be his own Catalyst of Aeon, channeling him 2 more runes. And then let's see if he has anything else before. It does look like there's a Mobilize in hand. Might be saving that for a little bit later. So just a little bit more draw power. Really, really phenomenal cards that can double as ramp and draw power after you've already hit all of your runes that you need, which could be really, really good. It looks like Jonathan did actually just draw the Dazzling Aurora, and based off of his tapping, yet we are seeing that come down immediately. So he was able to get it on board and get it live before having to deal with a Sabotage or a Mind Splitter, rip it out of his hand. Really, really good for Jonathan to get the momentum going. Instantly right away, Mind Splitter. We know Dizzee does have the Aurora himself. There are 2 Dazzling Auroras. So I'd be surprised if we don't see Jonathan instantly rip out one of them. Sadly, not having a Sabotage in hand on Jonathan's end. If he was able to Sabotage into Mind Splitter, I think Dizzee would be in a really, really rough spot. But luckily for Dizzee, he does have 2 Dazzling Aurora. Jonathan might actually be thinking at this point, well, he has the Dazzling Auroras anyway. He might just want to rip something else out, maybe one of these Primal Strengths, maybe a Fight or Flight, so that Dizzee has a little bit less defensive plays. But I think, just the threat of 2 Dazzling Aurora is very, very big. I don't know if that's really something you want to let your opponent get away with. Very interested to see. I'm very glad this is not a decision that I have to make. This top 16, every single interaction is going to matter. This is going to be very, very important right here. Dizzee just has so much advantage in hand. Whether it be like offensive plays to help set up your board with the Dazzling Aurora, the Primal Strengths could be huge, especially in this matchup. When they start clashing and throwing these huge units at each other, an extra 7 might is going to be able to sometimes 2 for 1, depending on what you're interacting with. So it could definitely be a huge, huge swing. I'm definitely interested to see what Jonathan decides to do here. Interesting. Going for the Mountain Drake. Very interesting call. So Jonathan does leave Dizzee with 2 Dazzling Auroras, 2 Primal Strengths, and 1 Fight or Flight. A lot of really good card in Dizzee's hand. Very, very interesting. I wonder if that was impacted by the fact that Jonathan doesn't have a Sabotage. Because I think if you are able to Sabotage first and then Mind Splitter, you have to take the Dazzling Auroras, right? You have to just turn it off, and then that way you are the only person who gets value out of these Dazzling Auroras. And then we see Dizzee with another Primal Strength. His hand might be considered a little bit clunky, but as we see right now, he does get a point off hold for the Misfortune. He is going to slam down his own Dazzling Aurora so that he will be able to get the free units every turn as well. I would be very surprised if you don't see Misfortune gank over just to steal some extra points before Jonathan and Dizzee are going to start clashing, because obviously Mind Splitter is going to move up this turn to try and take out this Misfortune. If Dizzee decides not to reinforce. Very, very interesting. And of course, this does leave Dizzee in a pretty good position because he does have 2 runes active. So he still will be able to drop the Fight or Flight at the end of his turn. Obviously, only having 2 runes active is a little unfortunate just because he does not have enough runes to Primal Strength. And having 3 Primal Strengths in hand that you're not able to use does feel a little bit bad. That being said, Dazzling Aurora already established on board, 2 up for the Fight or Flight. I think you're in a pretty decent position. Let's take a look to see if he is going to gank over, simply just retreating with the Misfortune. And then, of course, on that first movement, Misfortune's effect will proc, allowing her to ready one of these runes. Okay, so just passing turn, triple mobilize, his own Mind Splitter. Let's take a look at Jonathan's hand. All right, so we do see the Mountain Drake. We do see the Misfortune signature spell. We do see Rebuke. We do see Challenge. And we do see Gust. I think at this point, Dizzee can basically ignore Gust. Challenge could be a huge card. Rebuke could be huge as well, depending on what Jonathan targets to send back. I know in these matchups, sending back a Misfortune can be really, really big. Outside of that, there's not too many things you want to send back. Mountain Drake, maybe. But things like Mind Splitter and Den Blue Predator, I think you definitely want to stay away from sending back your opponent's hand. The Misfortune signature spell, I think, has been really clunky this weekend. We saw some value in it. towards the end of day one of the Saturday event. Nothing too major, like nothing too major that I think Dizzee needs to be afraid of right now. Challenge might be a problem. That might be what you want to go with. Which yeah, it looks exactly like that is what he's going to rip out. Just giving your opponent less access to things that could potentially remove your units, I think is always going to be good. All right, so with that, we do pass back to Jonathan. Dazzling Roar currently turned off because Dizzee did make the nice play of retreating the Misfortune so that Dead Bloom Predator cannot get on board, taking out the Misfortune. I think it's interesting. We are seeing definitely a little bit of caution here. And you can definitely tell both of these players have a lot of respect for each other. They understand this is top 16. Neither of these players want to go home after round one. And of course, they know how strong that these decks are. And they don't want to overextend if they do not have to. So we do see Jonathan bring out the Mountain Drake, opting not to move into base. I think he's being cautious as well, just in case we don't see a Dead Bloom Predator come down and take out that Mind Splitter. But we do see Jonathan find that Mountain Drake and building up quite a nice board in base before passing turn back to Dizzee. Now, of course, we do know that Dizzee has another Dazzling Aurora in hand. I'm very interested to see if he decides to establish it here. Sadly, Jonathan did rip the Mountain Drake out of Dizzee's hand. It would have been very interesting to see Dizzee play down the Mountain Drake and maybe challenge Jonathan's Mind Splitter just so he could get rid of another annoying body really early on. But Dazzling Roar, not a bad play at all. Double Dazzling established already. He's currently behind in units, but that double Dazzling Roar is going to allow him to catch up and pass Jonathan in terms of board presence very quickly. So we do have the 2 runes up. Probably just Dizzee deciding if he wants to do anything else. As I said, he does have triple primal strength in hand. He does have fight or flight. Now we do see that he has a challenge as well. Challenge here basically trades. I'm not sure if he wants to do a trade between Mind Splitters. He might just want to keep those 2 up for fight or flight. Definitely very interested to see what he would like to do. Very interested as well. It's almost like a game of chicken. These players obviously understand how big these boards are and want to be very careful before moving in and potentially making any mistakes. Looks like Dizzee is looking over at his notes just to for a quick refresher on what exactly he has to play against when it comes to Jonathan's hand. He might also be trying to work out the numbers on what he could possibly hit off of these Dazzling Auroras, as we do see him decide to make the first move to break the stalemate, moving the Mind Splitter into Obelisk, scoring him his 3rd point of this game. Currently up 3 points to Jonathan 0. I'm assuming we're going to see the Mind Splitter move in, or the Misfortune, I apologize, move in, readying up the Mind Splitter so that Dizzee is most likely going to be able to retreat the Mind Splitter. I think he's debating whether or not he would like to leave the Mind Splitter up, right? Because you're in a situation where you're already short 1 Mountain Drake. So it's 1 less Mountain Drake that can help you reinforce. But we do see the Mind Splitter come down. We do see the first Dazzling Aurora going off as we see another Mind Splitter coming down. All right, now we get a little bit more information. Looks like he has now had a stack deck. So technically, in this situation, my understanding is I believe you do both Dazzling Aurora before you do the effects and showdowns. I don't know if it'll make too much difference, but obviously having information is really good. The only difference now is stack deck. Most of these cards we already knew. Stack deck's a pretty good card. You don't really want to give your opponent, yeah, exactly. You don't want to give your opponent any more dig than they need, especially with the Dazzling Roar already established. And then we do see the other one, another Mind Splitter. Holy. Maybe the Misfortune signature spell hasn't been doing too much this weekend. But maybe just getting rid of the Rebuke could be helpful. Obviously, as you said, you wouldn't mind having a Mind Splitter rebuked and sent back to your hand. That being said, yeah, so sending away the Misfortune, just getting rid of more removal so that your opponent can't really kill off your things could be really good. All right, thank you, chat. We are getting clarification from chat. You do get the effects before resolving, but not showdowns. Gotcha. Thank you. I knew that was a weird interaction. I appreciate your contribution, my friend. And then with that, the turn passes from Dizzee to Jonathan. We do see Jonathan drop the Sabotage. All right, well, let's see. Do you see those triple primal strength? I'd be surprised if we don't see the fight or flight get ripped here. Challenge could be huge too. That being said, with Dizzee only having access to a Misfortune and triple Mind Splitter, maybe Jonathan's not that afraid of challenge. Maybe he's basically saying, if you want to challenge your Mind Splitter with one of my units and then your guy dies, that's absolutely fine. Fight or Flight is probably the most problematic card here. Triple Primal Strength, though, could be huge later on, especially on those turns where you're so established that you actually stop tapping runes to pay for bodies because you have double Dazzling Aurora and 3 Mind Splitters on board. So there could be a turn that we definitely see double Primal Strength. And Jonathan might want to avoid that and start ripping out these Primal Strengths. As I said, though, it definitely has been the most important card that we've seen has been these Mind Splitters and Sabotages. So much hand rip here in this game 1 of this top 16, and we do see the Fight or Flight get ripped, leaving Dizzee with a challenge and triple Primal Strength. Yeah, I'd be very surprised if we don't see the Mind Splitter come in and take out this Misfortune. He might not want to push the Mountain Drakes just because if he gets hit on the crackback, losing your weakest unit might not be a bad call, especially if it's trading with his weakest unit and allowing you to get on the board with your first point. Very interested to see here what Dizzee does. He has been staring down this challenge and these 2 runes up for the duration of this game 1. He might be wondering, is it in my best interest just to trade a Mind Splitter with a Mind Splitter, especially if technically it's not putting me back too far behind, right? Because I do have access to 2 Dazzling Auroras, and whatever unit, I'll just get it right back. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing right here. We do Mind Splitter for Mind Splitter, of course, allowing Misfortune to maintain the battlefield before Jonathan moves in with this Mountain Drake. It is going to be really, really big. It's going to be very interesting on Dizzee's end for the next turn. Obviously, currently, the Mountain Drakes are bigger than the Mind Splitters. So if you would want to take out this Mountain Drake, he would have to move in with a double Mind Splitters. And sadly, Dizzee still not having access to a Mountain Drake of his own, I think is definitely going to actually be really, really unfortunate for him. Jonathan having access to the 2 biggest units on this board are definitely going to be huge. And even things like Deadbloom Predators being ripped off the top from Dazzling Aurora, I think in your best case scenario, I think if you're Dizzee, what you want to see is maybe back-to-back Deadbloom Predators off the top. The ability to, as we talked about with chat, the fact that the showdown doesn't start technically until both Dazzling Auroras have resolved. If you're able to back-to-back go Deadbloom into a single Mountain Drake, you should be in a very good position. So hopefully that is exactly what we see here. We know that there are no Deadbloom Predators in hand. We have already seen triple Mountain. We've already seen triple Mind Splitter. We've already seen a Mountain Drake. Hopefully we will be able to get the stream fixed for you guys. My apologies. Hopefully I can just hang out with you guys as we just speculate what's going on. Hopefully this does not interrupt the game. We understand the board today right now. I'm sure when we hop right back into it, we'll be able to see what's going on. Yeah, hopefully I can still leave some. I'm glad you guys are able to hear me at least. But yeah, are getting notifications. Someone scan the QR code. This is the perfect time for you guys to get your Pro Play Games, Pro Play Summit playmat as we get everything fixed on production side. Let me see if this is just a stream overall. I know that there is a YouTube stream on PPG right now that might have just been a little too much for the stream now that is down as well. But yeah, as I was saying, I think no Victors, no Leonas on top today. We might see. We haven't seen Leona at all, but we definitely have seen Victor. All right, we are back. So it's looking like we did see. I'm assuming what happened. We saw Mountain Drake move in. We saw Mountain Drake kill the Misfortune, and then I would expect we would have seen the Misfortune Chosen Champion come in accelerated. I believe it probably came in accelerated on Obelisk. it retreated back to base and then readied the Mountain Drake, moving Mountain Drake back to base as well. And then we saw the Dazzling Roar go off, and Jonathan got his third Mountain Drake, where Dizzee was not able to find any. And then when the turn passed back to Dizzee, he did move his Mind Splitter into Obelisk of Power, scoring him his 5th point for this game, just to Jonathan's 1. And now Dizzee currently, I believe, at 10 runes. We do have triple Primal Strength in hand, and double Dazzling Aurora established on board. If you're Dizzee, I'm not really actually too worried about this situation, honestly. All right, so we do see the Ride the Wind come down. Very interested to see how he utilizes this. Looks like he is basically going to do a pseudo gank over to Obelisk, scoring him his 6 points for the game, readying a Mind Splitter so that he can retreat it back. Everybody here playing around the Dead Bloom Predators. And then we're simply going to pass the turn with the Dazzling Auroras coming down. We do see the Dead Bloom come out, which is what everyone's been playing against. That is the first one. Not able to put Dead Bloom on the battlefield, of course, because Jonathan has been playing very smart and retreating off. And we do see Dizzle finally get access to his first Mountain Drake on board, second Mountain Drake that Dizzee's seen today. Very interesting, of course. If he really wanted to, he probably could have loaded up one of the battlefields and then reinforced off the Dazzling Auroras. That being said, though, I don't think you want Jonathan to have the ability to chip away at your battlefields. I'm very interested to see how we go from here because, of course, at some point we're going to have to see like big shifts with a bunch of these units clashing into each other. Jonathan is kind of on a timing right now, of course. He only has 1 point to Dizzle's 6, so Dizzle is technically threatening lethal right here. And Jonathan definitely needs to make a move. Having access to triple Mountain Drake, though, is really, really good if he wants to start moving in and conquering these battlefields, locking these down. Only having access to the one Dazzling Roar might be a little bit of an issue when it comes to reinforcing these battlefields because, of course, you have access to 4 units right now. And if you want to split them in certain ways, you can do like 20 might on one. You can do 30. There's a ton of might right here on Jonathan's board. And being able to reinforce for free with a Dazzling Roar could be really, really big and make it more difficult for Dizzee to try and break this board apart, as Dizzee only has 4 units of his own. That being said, we do know that there are probably 2 more Dead Bloom Predators in the deck that we could see off the Dazzling Aurora, but we do see Jonathan move into both of these Obelisk of Powers, and then doing a even 2-2 split to reinforce these Obelisk of Powers, and then with that, he will simply pass the turn, and we do see 2 Dazzling Auroras go to the bottom of the deck. We do see Mind Splitter, of course, reinforce. Looks like he's going to be taken out of Primal Strength, as that is the only target that he currently has. All right, so now this could be the biggest turn that we've seen in this game so far. Jonathan currently having 5 units on board. It has all 12 of his runes active to help defend against this onslaught that Dizzee is about to throw at him. The issue being, of course, Jonathan having access to triple Mountain Drake and a 5th unit, as Dizzee does only have access to 1 Mountain Drake and only has 4 units. We do know there's double Primal Strength in hand, at least, which is going to be, I think, really, really good for this edition. Basis for in some search instances, doubling your opponent's unit, doubling your unit's mights. My apologies. Giving an additional +7 might on the kill turn could be absolutely huge. I definitely think you're going to have to do some trading here. There's no clean way for you to come in and just conquer these battlefields. But I definitely think we will most likely see double Primal Strength this turn in an attempt for Dizzee to overtake these battlefields. The main issue, too, is just only having 4 units. Not having a 5th unit to try and combat these is going to be huge. I will say there is a ray of light for Dizzee is that one of the 5 units is a misfortune. So let's say let's break this out. All right, you might have to ignore one of the battlefields. The issue, of course, is that misfortune gives ganking. So how much can you really ignore it, right? So let's say how much is on the top battlefield? 17, 22 might on the top battlefield and 20 on the bottom. Let's see, how would we do this? 14. You can do 2 Mind Splitters and a Primal Strength to take out the bottom one. Oh, yeah. What I think you would do is what? Mind Splitter, Primal Strength to throw 21 at the bottom battlefield, and then potentially Mountain Drake, Dead Bloom Predator, Primal Strength on the top one. Of course, that's assuming Jonathan has nothing in hand, but he clearly has cards in hand and has access to every rune right now. It might honestly be in his best interest just to only take one of these battlefields in full send, and then basically put it on Jonathan to basically say, you clear this battlefield or I win right here. And then honestly, it might not be the worst situation to do that, because if you load up, say if you go down to this bottom battlefield, right? Or I guess you'd probably want to take out the top one, take out more units, take out one of the smaller units, so less might that's going to be done back at you. We're going to move potentially if you move into that top battlefield, right? You move in with multiple units, double Dazzling Aurora goes off, and then you reinforce with 2 more units, making it that much more difficult for Jonathan. Because obviously the one big drawback for Dazzling Aurora is it only goes off at the end of your turn. It's not like you can bring in units early to help you with combat outside of Dead Bloom Predator. Very true. We do know that he does have access to bullet time still. This could be a very big card in here. Dead Bloom Predator having deflect could be really, really big. So I think if Dizzee wants to play against that, I was going to say if he wants to play around that. Oh, this is a situation that I'm definitely not envious of. We do know that there's Rebuking in his hand as well. So investing in Primal Strength might be kind of scary. We do see the Mountain Drake get a successful trade-off here. All right, so now there's only 4 units he has to deal with. I think if I'm Dizzee there, I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, once again, this is not a situation that I am envious of to be in. A lot of really, really important decision-making coming this turn. So it looks like he is going to attempt to Primal Strength here on the Mind Splitter. I'd be very surprised if we don't see the Rebuke come down just to save this Mountain Drake. Because I think we will see the Misfortune signature as well. Oh, Ride the Wind. Not bad either. Bringing the Misfortune over? Or bringing the Mind Splitter over to reinforce? Very interesting. Because I guess if you just Ride the Wind away his Mind Splitter, he can just hit you with it again next turn. But if you bring over your own Mind Splitter, at least it trades. It's 1 less unit you have to worry about. I apologize. I forgot Ride the Wind is friendly. I apologize. Yeah, so you can't target his Mind Splitter. So he's probably, nonetheless, he's probably going to bring his Mind Splitter in to trade. Yeah, I mean, Rebuke here would kind of be rough just because you don't want him to be able to just slam it right back down. Because he has exactly enough runes to slam down the Mind Splitter if you do Rebuke it. Oh, yeah, Rebuke right here is kind of rough. Having your only targets left be double Mind Splitter and Dead Bloom does not feel the best if you have Rebuke in your hand. Yeah, really important decision-making time right here. Very interested to see what he does here. And of course, if you save this one battlefield by Ride the Winning over, Mind Splitter, of course, will still trade with Mind Splitter. So this is something I thought, the reason why I think he's hesitant to bring the Mountain Drake over is because now that just leaves that top battlefield open to get run over. That being said, though, the problem here as well is now the Mind Splitters trade. If math serves me correctly, Dizzee can still take that top battlefield. Very interesting. All right, so moving over the Misfortune. So now we're looking at 15 to Dizzee's 7. The Misfortune should be able to ready something. I apologize. Primal Strength. I forgot about. So it was 15 to Dizzee's 14 off the Primal Strength. Of course, Dizzee would like to take out the Mountain Drake since it's the bigger the unit. I believe Misfortune still should have got the ready there off a unit. We do see the Mind Splitter come in, which should easily clear this Misfortune, but we do know Jonathan has multiple cards in hand that could interact, but opting not to utilize any of them right now. watching the Mind Splitter come in and score Dizzee his 7th point of this game. Once again, threatening lethal. We do know there's a rebuke in Jonathan's hand. Primal Strength here will probably be Primal Strength. Dead Bloom moving into the top will probably be met. Is that even enough? That's not enough might. Yeah, because that's only 7 might increase. Interesting. Very interesting. You could try your luck. Of course, Primal Strength here on Dead Bloom. Attempt to take out the... Maybe not even Primal Strength here. Just do... no. Because if you Primal Strength here, right? You can have Deadloom try and clear out this Mountain Drake, and then hope to God that you hit a Deadloom Predator off the top of one of these Dazzling Auroras. That being said, obviously, we do know that Jonathan has Rebuke in hand, and I think he'd be very much okay with playing the Deflect cost to remove it. So we just see Dizzee move the Deadloom Predator into Obelisk to reinforce. So we would have seen the Deadloom, but he's just going to drop it to reinforce. Another Mountain Drake here would be huge, and that's exactly what we do see. So we do know, obviously, Jonathan's purple, right? I've already seen Ride the Wind. If he has another one, he can just gank over. He won't be able to do in the same instance that he ganks with Misfortune, but he could Misfortune gank, move over, and then Ride the Wind to move. We are just going to scoop it up and go into game 2. Dizzee being on 7 points, and just having maybe two more units, too many units for Jonathan to try and deal with having putting all of his eggs in one basket on one battlefield was just a little too much for him to deal with. Looking at these battlefields, it's going to be very interesting if we see a double aspirants coming in here in this game 2. I love the deck box on Dizzee. I believe that is the Rayquaza deck box from Man of Style. All right, so we are good as the players set up for game 2. We're going to be doing our mulligans. We're going to be doing our side decking, doing our mulligans, setting up for everything. I think that was a really, really good game 1. As I said, a lot of really important decisions. I'm very glad that I am just a lowly caster. I do not have to make these decisions. I can just enjoy the high level gameplay that we get to watch today. I definitely think Dizzee having access to double Dazzling Aurora was a very, very important thing for him. I'm very interested to know if Jonathan maybe regrets not ripping out one of those Dazzling Auroras early, just because I think before that second Dazzling Aurora went live, Jonathan was winning the unit race, like in terms of like board control and board presence. But then of course Dizzee getting 2 free bodies every single turn, I think, allowed him to squeak out the win. We might see maybe next game Jonathan be a little bit more aggressive. Excuse me, with the sabotages and the mind splitters to rip out the Dazzling Auroras early on. I'm surprised we didn't see either player, I don't think, do that, because I think we saw a mind splitter and or sabotage on both players' end before Dazzling Aurora got established. But they might have been just like, you know what, these Auroras are going to be live anyway. I might as well start getting rid of these the cards and spells that can save them and be used on defense, so that when I start going in for my onslaught, they won't be able to stop me. But of course, Dizzee did get that game 1. You have to feel good going into game 2 with 1 win under your belt in this top 16. Maybe it takes a little bit of weight off your shoulders. That being said, if you're and interesting, Dizzee, I believe, is the 16th seed. Here, I mean, look at the standings. Dizzee's 14th seed, and I believe Jonathan was a 3rd seed, which means I believe Jonathan went first off of that too. Very interesting. I guess going first in Dazzling Aurora isn't necessarily like the best thing in the world, especially when you were on double obelisk. Being able to get all those extra runes was definitely huge. That being said, both players did pass their first turn, so. But very interested to see how this round 1 plays out. Very interested to see what cards they're siding in. Let's actually look at these deck lists. Let's look at these side decks and if there's anything spicy for the mirror. Ooh. It is open deck list, so I think I'm allowed to talk about side decks. It does look like these players have access to possession in their side decks. Could be really, really interesting when we start. Oh, it looks like only Dizzee has possession in the side deck. That could be very interesting. But we're looking at John's. He does have more rebukes, fading memories, unyielding spirit, volley bear. The purple misfortune, interesting. Very interesting. I'm very interested to see if Dizzee brings this possession in for this match. That could be really, really huge because, like, an issue that he had last game obviously was the fact that he only had 4 units to Jonathan's 5, and if he had a possession there, it like basically as like a pseudo removal and a unit that he can move and attack with next turn could have been really, really good for sure. Very interesting. Like I said, I'm not jealous of these players. I'm jealous that they get to play Riftbound. I'm jealous that some of these guys will be walking away with a good chunk of cash. I'm not jealous of the level of gameplay that you have to play at right now and all of these really big, important decisions. This is way above my brain power for sure, especially in the mirror match. Oh my goodness. This is one of the most skill intensive things I think in card games is when you have to play against another good player playing the exact same deck that you are. So good. All right, so chat. As we said, we have I think 5 different decks in Top Cut. I haven't seen the set deck list, so I might have been mistaken if there's a set in top 16. But we do know we have Misfortune Auroras. Obviously, 2 of them are going at it right now. We have Kaisa, Annie, Master Yi. What out of those 4 would you expect to take down this event, and what match would you guys like? What matchup would you guys like to see in this top 16? Played yesterday and ended 6-2-1, good for 33rd. Oh, bubbling right out of the top 32. I'm so sorry, my friend. Hopefully, you can squeak in there today. Get a lot of really good tickets. Get some nice goodies off of that awesome prize wall. When the cost of entry plummet. Yeah, I agree with that. This game is massive now, even with the barrier to entry. And I think the team at Riot and Riftbound is doing everything that they can to make the game more accessible for people. And I think you're right. Once like the prices on sealed product like plummets, we're gonna see a huge spike in players coming over. It's gonna be absolutely phenomenal. That'd be phenomenal. Could you imagine if we've been lying to you guys the entire time and we've actually been hiding away Garen and Jinx so that when it pops up in finals, you guys are like, hold on, what? Yeah, that'd be really funny. Obviously said, I heard that there was a set in top 16. I'm looking through these deck lists though, and I don't see the deck list. It looks like basically Kaisa, Annie, Master Yi, and MF. Let's see this Kaisa, MF. There's the set. Okay, we do have a set in top 16. Yeah, not bad at all. 5 decks in top 16. This is probably the most diverse top 16 that we've seen out of any high level gameplay yet. Hopefully we do see the set move on. Maybe we can get a match or 2 with him in here. Absolutely awkward. Absolutely. 14 Colin is set. Yep. Let's see whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. That's what we like to see. Especially, I know a lot of people were afraid of, myself included, when you see like 4 straight China's regional opens where it's just like top 3. I think 3 out of the top 4 Kaisa and the last is Master Yi. Basically, every single time you do get a little bit nervous that the meta is going to be a little stale. 5 different decks in the top 16 at a 10K. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, 5 out of 16 is big. Shout out to Pro Play. And what's super interesting about that too is we thought that's how the meta was going to shake up in Houston, of course, because people were getting like $50,000 incentives in those metal prize cards for the best of prizing. There's nothing like that here. So there's just 5 great decks that people believe in to help them win $3,000 in that first place prize. And I think that really says something that like anybody can win it. Any deck can be good. Don't listen to the people online that are like, oh, there's only one good deck. There's only one way you can win. Having 5 decks in top 16 is super impressive. All right, so as we take a look at these battlefields, it's 1 Aspirin's Climb and 1 Vile Maw. I would expect to see another Aspirin's Climb if we do go to game 3. We have seen plenty of ramp on both of these players' side as we see Dizzee put down his stack deck to dig a little bit deeper into his deck. Looks like we have double Mind Splitter and a Primal Strength. Those Primal Strengths love being in this guy's hand. Exactly. I think early on, definitely, that is a good point. I think early on, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I'm just getting into the game. What's good right now, and I'll build what's good." And of course, that was Master Yi and Kaisen. A lot of people got on that, but I think you're 100% correct. Um, some people probably just use that as like an entry point, and then they're like, "You know what? Look at this deck over here, like the set deck that's doing like really, really cool. Look at this Annie that's like really, really cool as well." Um, Sorry about that, but we are getting notification from production that we're actually having an infographic on top 16. We are definitely going to get it for you guys in between top 16 and top 8, though, just so we can see this breakdown. I know a lot of people are asking for it, but yeah, as we said, super, super diverse top 16. 5 different decks is really, really good. All right, let's see. Let's see what we're doing here. So it looks like Dizzee did his own. I'm assuming what is a stack deck. The other players know the point breaks. They all know the break points, and they want to have a whole response on the point. Exactly, 100%. All right, so we do see Jonathan, first unit on the board with his Mind Splitter. I think if I'm Jonathan, I'm probably ripping. Ooh, Fading Memories from the side deck. Really, really nice. Fading Memories, but of course, being gear removal. Gear or unit removal, just giving something temporary could be really, really good. Interesting. I was about to shotgun and say just go Mountain Drake, just because obviously we saw how when you get multiple Mountain Drakes established, how big of a wall that is to try and overcome. That being said, though, Fading Memories could be big. Mind Splitter could be big to get the Dazzling out early, and that is exactly what we see Jonathan rip is the Mind Splitter. Not a bad position because, of course, we know Dizzee doesn't have a Dazzling Aurora yet, and now he has access to only Mountain Drake and the Chosen Champion. Misfortune, neither of which are going to be interacting with Jonathan's units or hand, which could be really good. Yeah, Jonathan, first blood here. Being able to get the first hand rip. And like I said, I think that's going to be the most important 2 cards in this matchup is going to be the Sabotage and the Misfortunes. All right, and it looks like we're just going to pass there. Oh, unfortunate. I think I would have, yeah, that definitely would have been a perfect Mind Splitter turn. Very good rip from Jonathan. And we pass it back to him, awakening everything, gets the channels 2 runes and draw for turn. Do we have any units on Jonathan's on? I definitely think I see Rebuke. Might just start moving in, scoring some early points. There have been no points scored at all yet in this game. We do see Jonathan moving, scoring the first point of his game 2 as he conquers Aspirin's Climb. Going to see the Misfortune come in. Am I mistaken? Did he only do 5? Isn't Misfortune a 5-cost unit? Am I mistaken? Because I saw what he. Oh no, there's the 6. I apologize. I saw him do the 5 off of the shuffle back to 2 orange for the accelerator. He did tap the 6 one. It looks like, but able to bring it in and do exactly what he did last game. Retreat the Misfortune when it moves. Ready up the Mind Splitter. Allow the Mind Splitter to retreat as well. Playing against the Dead Bloom Predators, but I think the only units that Dizzee still has access to is going to be that 9-drop Mountain Drake and the Misfortune Chosen Champion. So it's a hard play, Mountain Drake. Not a bad play at all. As I said, it's definitely been a wall in this mirror match. Something a little bit difficult for units to get over. Something that doesn't really have to worry about Dead Bloom Predator because Dead Bloom, of course, if it gets ripped off the top of Dazzling, is not a big enough unit to deal with this Mountain Drake. But that will end Dizzee's turn, passing it back to Jonathan. Neither player having established Dazzling Aurora yet. Jonathan is winning the unit race currently, having 2 units to Dizzee's 1. That being said, Dizzee only has access to the Mountain Drake. But it is a big Mountain Drake. So 10 might is nothing to scoff at. Jonathan here might be debating whether he wants to get rid of this Mountain Drake and just continue to put Dizzee back. A Rebuke here wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I definitely don't think you want a Fading Memories here. I think you should definitely save that for when Aurora comes down. But a Rebuke could be really, really nice. Just putting him back, giving Jonathan at least 1 more turn. He can draw 2 cards. It's unfortunate in this matchup, right? Because you really can't play greedy. Holding, I think, is definitely so dangerous in this matchup. You just want to play against, you want to play around all the Dead Bloom Predators. And it's just not really something that you want to leave yourself open to getting hit with. Because not only will it remove your unit, but gets your opponent unit on the board, and then suddenly it's such a huge momentum shift. So looking at, we are seeing the Jonathan move in with the Mind Splitter into Astro's Climb, scoring Jonathan the second point of this game too. What's very interesting about Vile Maul's Lair, of course, it does kind of slow you down a little bit. Obviously not being able to back up, but having access to Misfortune to gank is still really, really good. This Misfortune Chosen Champion is putting in so much work in this mirror match. When she moves into Vile Maul's Lair, being able to ready something, of course, it's always these units so they can back off, play on the Dead Blue Predators. Really, really good. All right, and then opting not to use any spells to interact with the Mountain Drake. I might be saving it for when he tries to move in to take out this Misfortune. I still no Dazzling Aurora, and I believe he's on 11 runes right now, so we are going to stack deck, probably try to dig for that Dazzling Aurora. There's a Dead Bloom, there's a Challenge, and there's a Catalyst of Aeon. No Dazzling still. Alrighty. I'm assuming you... I'm assuming you Dead Bloom here, right? Because if your Dazzlings are all the way at the bottom, it's the only way you're going to see him anyway. Alrighty. All right, let's see this next play. Dead Bloom can be interesting here. I don't think Jonathan would do anything. I'm pretty sure he would let it go. Mountain Drake and a Vile Maul. Not bad, not bad. All right, here we go. See, tapping down for Primal Strength here. Very interesting. All right, let's see how Dizzee responds. This takes the Misfortune from, I believe, a 5 might unit into a 12 might unit to the Mountain Drake's 10. All right, very interesting, very interesting. His Primal Strength of his own, taking Mountain Drake from 10 to 17. It's probably a lot more resources used in this small interaction with Misfortune than I'm sure he expected. Gonna see a Fight or Flight here. Maybe the Rebuke. I see him touching the Rebuke right now. All right, let's see. Let's see. We do see the Rebuke. Not a bad play. Not a bad play at all. Not mad at it. Not mad at it at all. Oh, it looks like he didn't draw the Dead Bloom. Interesting. So what, did he take the challenge, I'm guessing? Wow, yeah. Very interesting. Because now, yeah, with no Dead Bloom in hand, no Dazzling Aurora, he can MF right here if he wants to get a unit on board. But Jonathan has really done a good job of putting Dizzee back. Really, really good job. No, he did tap the 2 for Rebuke. He did on the top. Yeah, so the top 16 decks are consist of Annie, Set, Kaisa, Master Yi, MF Aurora. Very, very interested to see what Dizzee does in this situation. The only units that he has access to once again is the Misfortune Chosen Champion and the Mountain Drake. Is Dizzee passing it? No, okay, yeah, I was going to say, I was surprised if he passed. All right, so we do see the MF come in. Opting not to bring in an accelerated and simply passing back to Jonathan. All right, so MF gets a hold. I did not expect to see a hold point in this mirror match. I'm not going to lie to you. We've seen both of these players play super well and super cautious, able to kind of bounce in and out of these battlefields to avoid the Dazzling Aurora and the threat of Dead Bloom Predator. Of course, Jonathan knows that Dizzee clearly does not have Dazzling Aurora currently, and did not have enough runes for Dead Bloom Predator as Dizzee started going about his plays. Jonathan's in a phenomenal spot right here. I apologize. Oof. I would not be mad at maybe just like a simple gank over with the Misfortune. Yep. That way you can just get your extra point without really risking anything. Might have wanted to play a card or two, maybe float a rune before, and then that way the Misfortune readies the rune, have one more energy that you can mess around with this turn. Yeah, I know a lot of people are indeed asking for a set feature match. Interesting from Jonathan, we have access to, I believe, that should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 runes. Just reinforcing Aspirant's Climb, putting him to his 5th point of the game. Looks like we have Primal Strength, Fight or Flight, Fading Memories. I can't make out the other cards, but passing it back to Dizzee. Currently, once again, at 11 runes. Doesn't seem like he has access to Dazzling Aurora just yet. We know there is a Mountain Drake in his hand, and Dizzee does have the Misfortune in his base. Now, Dizzee's hand would be amazing if he was already established. He basically has like every spell in his deck outside of Ramp and does not have access to the Dazzling Aurora gear. Definitely unfortunate. And you know that these Fading Memories are just itching in these guys' hands. But of course, this is the game that neither player is drawing into their Dazzlings. Very interested to see what Dizzee does here. Because at this point, it's definitely an uphill battle. Jonathan rebuking back that Mountain Drake was so big, especially after allowing Dizzee to burn one of his Primal Strengths. It was a huge turn that just put him back so much. That being said, though, he could Mountain Drake here, attempt to move Misfortune in, crash with a Misfortune, writing up the Mountain Drake, and then Mountain Drake overtake the Mind Splitter. But again, Jonathan has 7 runes open with multiple cards in hand that can interact with this stuff and risk putting Dizzee back even further. Quite a rough spot for Dizzee to be in for sure. Awesome. We are getting confirmation from Skinner with the production team that Set did win their top 16 match, and that will be our feature match for top 8. Pro Play Games, the company of the people. They know what we want to see, and they're doing everything in their power to show it to us. Shout out to Skinner and the boys at PPG. Very interesting to see how this goes. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is what's nice too, at least, is that all top 16 matches are untimed. So even though Dizzee has to make some really important big decisions here, he does have all the time that he needs to make these decisions. So we do indeed see the Mountain Drake coming down. I always forget that Mountain Drake's a 9 unit. I'm like, why does he have 2 runes up? But it's 9 cost, not 10 cost. What did Set beat? Let me see if I can see the pairings. I can see the top pairings was whoa. Oh no, I was thinking the wrong thing. What was it? Colin was Set. Colin beat Trinity's. Oh, so yeah, Colin beat Trinity, and Trinity was on MF. So we're gonna be losing 2 MF Dazzling Aurora decks in this first round, and it looks like George also lost with his Kaisa list to Cody, and Cody was on Master Yi. Interesting. So Master Yi beats Kaisa 2-0 as well. Very interesting. Let's hop back into this game here. I can. All of these pairings and standings are in topdeck.gg if you guys are interested in looking this up yourself. All right, so as we jump back into the game, we do see Jonathan move in with the Mind Splitter, scoring him his 6th point of the game. Looks like we are going to dig again with the stack deck. I think that was a Mountain Drake, Catalyst of Aeons, and Ride the Wind. Looks like Jonathan does grab the Ride the Wind. This is like such a weird matchup. Hello. Oh. Am I mistaken? Did he not just move in that turn? I'll just leave it to the players. Hard playing the Mind Splitter. At this point, do you even care about Fading Memories? I mean, it's still a removal that can be used on your units, but like, you're definitely at this point in the mindset of I'm playing without Dazzling Aurora. I don't care about gear removal. But like I said, Fading Memories can be both. Maybe Rebuke. I mean, you only have double Mind Splitter. I don't think you mind too much if Rebuke comes down. Maybe the challenge. Obviously, Mountain Drake is bigger than both of these Mind Splitters. Yeah, exactly. So getting rid of the challenge makes a lot of sense. Just one less way for Dizzee to get rid of Jonathan's board presence. Yeaver set in the final. That could be interesting. Be very interesting. It could go any way. That's what's cool about this top 16. As of right now, we still have all 5 decks represented in top 16, and they will be in top 8, which is really, really cool. As it passes back to Dizzee, we do see Dizzee move into Aspirants, scoring his first point of the game, conquering Aspirant's Climb with the Mountain Drake, reinforcing with the Played from Hand, Mind Splitter, revealing Jonathan's hand, which is a Fading Memory, Ride the Wind, and Fight or Flight. I am very interested to see what he rips here. Once again, I think more or less you can ignore the Fading Memories, right? Probably Ride the Wind. Ride the Wind or Fight or Flight. I'd honestly rip either one of those. 2 very, very good cards that can be very problematic for Dizzee later on. Interesting. Indeed, going for the Fight or Flight, or going for the Fading Memories. Probably just doesn't want to wait for Jonathan to be able to kill Mountain Drake without having to push in and trade something. And then with that, we'll pass it back to Jonathan, who does awaken all of his units, channels his 2 runes, and then controls for turn. Yes, top 16 currently is open deck list, so you guys should have access to the decks of everybody, and you should have access to pairings as well. So do the Mind Splitter, attempt to move into Vilemall, scoring Jonathan his 7th point. And you can like never feel safe in this matchup, right? Because on the one hand, you could be like, oh, you can just reinforce Vilemall and then just like tell your opponent to like match you, but this is Misfortune. He can just give ganking to the Mountain Drake and just move right over. That being said, though, we do see the Fight or Flight and Ride the Wind, which is really good. What is it? That's the only you can only target your own units. Is that Fight or Flight? No, that's Ride the Wind. What's only your units, right? Fight or Flight. I think you can bounce their stuff back. Yeah. Yep, which is exactly what we see here. We see the Mountain Drake attempt to take out the Mind Splitter. Oh, but what? I'm guessing it's because it's in Vilemall's lair. He can't send it back to base. Oof. Oof. That's unfortunate. Very interesting. Yeah, so we do see the Fight or Flight basically fizzle, right? Not fizzle, but it's just he can't send it back to base, I guess. So basically waste of card. We do see the Mountain Drake successfully overtake Vilemall, killing a Mind Splitter, and then we do see the Dizzee with the follow-up challenge to take out the Mind Splitter with the Mountain Drake, and then we do see another Mountain Drake come down, reinforcing Asperin's Climb to defend and help with the Mind Splitter. We do see Jonathan finally get Dazzling Aurora, first Dazzling Aurora of this game too. First hit off the top, Orange Volibear. And with that, passes back to Dizzee, who will go from his 3 points to 5. And just a reminder that Asperin's Climb is on the field. So these players do have to play to 9 points as opposed to 8. All right, Dizzee's coming back. Dizzee is currently the 14th seed as opposed to Jonathan's 3rd seed. Dizzee does have game 1, and Dizzee is starting to build momentum. Still unable to find his own Dazzling Aurora, so he's just going to slam down Fading Memories and be like, I'm not going to allow you to get value out of Dazzling Aurora if I can't get it either. And then with that, he will simply gank over with a Misfortune, sending the Mountain Drake from Vilemaw into Asperin's Climb before passing his turn, where the Dazzling Aurora will die off of the temporary to Fading Memories, leaving Jonathan simply with 1 Orange Volibear and nothing else. Now, what is this? This is a 12 Might unit, if I remember correctly. Staring down 2 Mountain Drakes and a Mind Splitter. We do see Jonathan with a second Dazzling Aurora. I think he's starting to see all of them now. I think they were probably just clumped up in his deck. Oh, no, Volibear is just 10 Might. All right, so we do see the Orange Volibear moving into Vilemaw's lair, storing Jonathan. Should be his 8th point if Dizzee does not have a response. But we do see the Rebuke sending the Volibear back to Jonathan's hand. He said, Dizzee saying, I am gaining momentum now. You're already going to get a free body off of Dazzling Aurora. I'm not going to allow you to reinforce this battlefield. I think Dizzee is in it. This is exactly what I was talking about. Dizzee had an amazing hand if he was established. The issue was he just couldn't get established. And now that he's established, he has so many good spells in hand to interact with Jonathan's board state that I think Dizzee is in a very good position. Of course, I think he would still like to have access to a Dazzling Aurora, but being able to interact with Jonathan's cards the way he is and defend himself and slow down Jonathan, I think is really, really good right now. And with the hold off aspirants, we do see Jonathan go to 6 points. We do see the Sabotage come out. Hand revealed from Jonathan is the Orange Volibear, 2 Fighter Flights, and 1 Ride the Wind. What could be so problematic here? I just know Dizzee. Big ups to the Riot team for making Sabotage not choose units, because I just know Dizzee right here would love to rip this Orange Volibear out. I don't even chat. What do we take here? What do we take here? You can take a Ride the Wind, or you can take a Fighter Flight, but he still has access to 1 of them. At least it's only 1 and not 2. Again, another situation that I'm not envious of Dizzee coming in. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So and does end up going for 1 of the Fighter Flights. That is just 1 less that he has to deal with. And just a quick reminder that Sabotage does recycle a unit instead of discarding it, so that Fighter Flight will go to the bottom of the deck. I'm very interested to see. All right, we just see the Misfortune gank over 1 of the Mountain Drakes, scoring Dizzee his 7th point. Of course, with no interaction here, Dizzee is now threatening lethal to go from 7 to 9. I'd be very surprised if Jonathan allows for both of these battlefields to maintain. Do we have a challenge? A challenge here could be big, but it'd be like such a big trade. Because you do like a challenge Mountain Drake with Mind Splitter, and then you crash the Mountain Drake into Mountain Drake. We do see the Fighter Flight come down, moving back to Mountain Drake. So we're going to see his Mountain Drake move into the Asperin's Climb. If there's no response, we do see the Rebuke. Oh, this could be huge. This could be absolutely huge. Depending on what's ripped off the top of Dazzling, this could be it. Wow. Only card left in hand, Rebuke. Wow. They have a ride to win, though. Yep, and that's it. That's it. Dizzee takes it 2-0 over the number 3 seed in this top 16. Wow, absolutely phenomenal.
That today.
But that is my main deck. I did one of my best friends wanted to play Annie, and I let him use my Chinese Andy deck this weekend. And I wanted to mix it up and kind of give my brain a little bit of a mental break. So I went with MF this weekend. But yeah, like just stay ahead of the meta. Play testing is the most important thing that you can do. I highly recommend if you have access to a camera, record your matches and go back and watch them if you're playing with your friends.
Great advice.
Big help. For sure.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about, you mentioned you were the Annie guy. You've known Annie, you've been playing Annie, you've been doing great at events with Annie. So when you're doing so successful with the character, right? I know you said you got to be ahead of the meta and, made maybe a better metagame call. But what point where you're like, I'm doing so well with the deck, but let's swap over to something different? Is it just literally fatigue from the deck, or did you really think he was a better, MF was a better approach this game,
so the MF build, which shout out to Vero and his team, like they're the ones who basically gave me the build.
Sure.
I tweaked it slightly, but it is literally like everybody on the team is kind of running the same list.
Right.
It's just it plays 3 primal strength. It plays challenge, which is great for back row removal. So that helps a lot in the Annie matchup. Like I do feel like the Annie matchup is not as bad for Aurora as it used to be when we were on like the janky like treasure trove kind of build with Soul Gorger and all that stuff. I think that the 8-unit build is correct. It's very, very consistent compared to the previous build. So I think that in my mind, I knew we were going to see a lot of Annie because of Diwali's success and
of course
how many top 4 placements it had. At 3 out of 4 top placements at regional.
Absolutely.
I played Annie at the regional, and I went X3. I just had a lot of rough matchups, and I was X2 going to last round, and I saw my tiebreakers were bad, so I was like basically checked out, and I was like, okay, I'll give the win to my buddy that I played.
For sure.
But I just didn't feel like wasn't feeling it today. Like I plus my friend wanted to play. I kind of wanted to just take a little break and play something else.
For sure.
I think you have to do that to kind of be better at the game is by playing.
You learn
decks.
what it's like to be on the other side, right?
Correct.
So
and I played against an Annie in tournament, and it was a friend of mine, and I beat him in tournament because I know the deck. Like when you play on the other side, it's really helpful.
Of course, you learn you learn what you're afraid of on the matchup and things like that. What does your opponent not want to see?
Exactly.
Absolutely. So game 2 here, I want to talk a little bit about game 1 went pretty favorably in your direction. You just kind of climbed it up all the way to 8. Yep. Game 2. A little different, right? So you started off on the back foot. Your opponent, I'm not saying you were behind, but your opponent was definitely racking up the points, getting up to 5, 6, and you're kind of just hanging back at 0, 1. Yep. So what's the key there in that matchup to, are you just trusting that eventually you will be able to just shut it down? I saw a lot of games go to 7 points this weekend, and then the deck just starts to roll and there's no way to get out of it. Yep. So are you just trusting the deck at that point to just do what it does? And like, what's the key to the mirror matchup in your opinion?
So the key to mirror matchup is to be patient, like especially after sideboarding, because they're going to be on fading memories. So be patient, count your runes, plan your turns ahead at least 2 or 3 turns, because you don't want to just tunnel on Aurora. I feel like a lot of new Aurora players will just tunnel on Aurora and they won't plan their turns out. So you want to check your opponent's hand first, especially game 2 and game 3. To get rid of their sabotage or their Aurora out of their hands. So you want to kind of play splitter first or sabotage. Game 2, I was very patient, and patience is very, very important in the mirror. Especially we're on aspirants, so we got time.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
You got lots of time.
And I knew
We thought we were going to get a double aspirants game 2, and I was like, we're going to 10, baby.
No,
Let's go.
Luckily, I think John didn't want to do that.
Okay,
which I
okay,
respect. So
okay.
I'm like, okay, good. So yeah, but I think that I had a lot of answers. I did get some top decks there. Back to back. I went from Mind Splitter to remove. I forgot what I removed from his hand. I think I got one of his answers. I got one of his answers, and then I drew Sabotage, and then I drew Challenge, and then I drew the second Rebuke. So it's like did get a little lucky there, but like I said, I was being patient and just holding it out.
That's why you put the cards in your deck, right? In every game, I think you got to get a little bit lucky. I mean, you could be playing the best deck in the room, but you still got to draw the cards in the right order and make it happen. So
absolutely.
I think you managed, to navigate the match beautifully. I think you showed not only your skill expression, but your knowledge of the deck. And like I said, game 2 was looking like it was going to game 3, and you proved that you're not out of it yet. So wishing, of course, man. So I'm wishing you a ton of luck on the rest of the event. Obviously, fan favorites. So be rooting for Dizzee. And thanks so much for taking time to join me for a chat.
For sure, appreciate y'all.
All right, back to you guys. Thank you so much.